In this video, we're going to talk about remote fulfillment with FBA, how to use it, and most importantly, how to opt out if you determine it's not right for your brand. So what is remote fulfillment with FBA and is it right for you and your brand? What this is, it's taking your Amazon US FBA inventory. So inventory that's stored in Amazon's warehouses here in the United States, and it's using that inventory to fulfill orders that are placed on Amazon Canada and Amazon Mexico. It's different than FBA export, which is where maybe a Canadian citizen can go to Amazon.com and order an item. This is if someone goes to Amazon.ca and orders an item, and then Amazon's using your US inventory, and what they're doing is they're actually putting on their own planes and trains and trucks, sending it to Canada, and then fulfilling that item to the customer on your behalf. You're using your listings on those marketplaces, not using your US listings, using listings created for you on Canada and Mexico marketplaces. The beauty of this, Amazon's collecting doing all the duties and taxes and that part of it, which can be a big barrier to expanding to some of these international countries. So again, it's allowing you to take your single source pool inventory here in the US and start getting orders in Canada and Mexico. The big change in this is that Amazon, starting on July 1st, 2022, is automatically opting eligible SKUs into this program unless you choose to opt out. This can be a really good stepping stone, though, to determine if maybe your products has some viability or some traction in these marketplaces, right? Because Amazon's always pushing you to expand internationally. They want you to do it, right? But it's not right for every product, every brand. And so it's a good way, kind of a stepping stone, to take that first step and see if your products do have some traction in Canada and Mexico. But first, most importantly, got to make sure it's right for your margins and how to opt out if it's not right for your margins. So this program has actually been around since 2018. Previously, you actually had to go in and enroll your SKUs into this program. But like I said, starting July 1st, 2022, your eligible SKUs are automatically being enrolled into this program, right? First off, it's important to know we talked about product eligibility. What does that mean? When I say product eligibility, it's most likely that anything that's regulated, either here in the US or maybe regulated abroad, is not going to be eligible for export. Anything like topical or ingestible, like maybe like a food type item, anything that may have to do with any kind of regulations, most likely are not going to be eligible for this program. You can actually view your eligibility right on Seller Central. If you go to the remote fulfillment page on remote FBA page on Amazon, you can actually download a flat file in typical Amazon fashion. It'll tell you right there if your SKUs are eligible or not. So that's the first thing to check. See what of your products, if any, are eligible for this program. The second thing is understanding your margins, because it's really important to note Amazon is charging you an FBA fulfillment fee just like they are for Amazon orders here in the US, right? But this fee is higher than what it is for a typical FBA order, either here in the US or even if you're sending inventory into Canada. It also is in the local currency, so keep that in mind as well. It's in Canadian dollars or in Mexican pesos. Keep that in mind for currency conversion's sake. But you really want to understand your margins. What do you have to sell the product for to be able to still make the margin, your desired margins, but still have a competitive price in that marketplace? So Amazon on Seller Central has the FBA revenue calculator. You can actually select this program, the remote FBA fulfillment program, and you can actually say, my inventory is in the US, but I'm going to sell it in Canada, and it'll just pull in your FBA fee for that particular item. So you can actually just put in one of your ASINs or search for one of your items, pull in the actual FBA fee for that item, and then work backwards on what the selling price needs to be. Once the referral fee is taken out, their cost, you determine what to sell the items for. It's also important that you change your price on your listing on Canada or Mexico to reflect that desired price you need to make your margins. And again, maybe you decide that you have 20 SKUs and only 5 really make sense from maybe a margin or eligibility standpoint. You can opt out other SKUs. You don't have to, it's not an all or nothing kind of thing. You can opt out on a product basis. It's really important to note and take a step back here and decide. Amazon, again, loves to push these programs down the throats of sellers and force people to do things, but you can opt out and then always opt back in the future when you're ready. So don't feel the pressure that you have to do this right now. So what do you do if you're going to decide remote fulfillment with FBA is right for your brand and your company? So number one, you need to understand that now you're selling on those marketplaces as the seller of record. Even though Amazon's handling the duties and taxes from a product movement and fulfillment standpoint, there may be some additional tax liabilities. I'm not saying there is or is not for your company if you are the seller of record in those countries. So make sure you check with a tax professional. They can help guide you. Now, if you're already selling in those countries, you already have some of this set up. So make sure it's right for you and your company. Check with your local or your tax professional that you use for your business. So if you decided to go and you're going to start doing it, make sure let's say you turn it on, right? You're going to start hopefully seeing some sales. You may not see sales right away, and that's okay. There may be some seasonality behind it in terms of the day, the week, the month, the time of the year if you do have more seasonal type products. So just give it some time. Also, at the same time, I want to be watching those metrics. If you see sales start to grow over a period of time, weeks and months, then you're going to want to make sure that your inventory in the US is sufficient for that, right? Because remember, you're now pulling from that single pool of inventory here in the US. In addition to your Amazon US orders, you now may be using that same pool of inventory to fulfill orders for Canada and Mexico, and that could place a demand on your inventory forecasting and in terms of manufacturing or producing more products for your brand. So just keep that in mind as well. Also, when you start seeing success, you may want to start advertising, right? You may want to start running some ads for these products in these marketplaces. So you can take some of your campaigns you've already built here in the US, maybe use some branded keywords and some high converting keywords, but obviously you're also dealing in countries where there are different languages. You have French in Canada, you have Spanish in Mexico. So making sure you're running some automatic campaigns as well, and you're using that for keyword discovery in those countries so that you're finding any new keywords that may be typed out or searched for in a different language, and you're also converting for some of those. Now, there's going to be a tipping point, right, where you're paying these higher fulfillment fees than you would be if the inventory was stored locally in those warehouses. So you're paying higher fulfillment fees with remote fulfillment with FBA. There's going to be a tipping point where you're getting up to so many units, and it's just going to make more sense for you to send inventory in bulk, let's say to Canada, instead of these single orders where you're paying a higher per order fulfillment fee. That's going to be different for every single brand, depending on your margins, your products. So just making sure you're watching for that, though, and deciding that, hey, now let's send inventory into these countries. It's important to note, though, you should always be able to use remote FBA as a backup. So if you do run out of inventory in that particular country, you should be able to use that pool of inventory in the US as a backup if you run out of inventory locally there. So it's really exciting to see Amazon taking this step and rolling this program out. And even though they are kind of forcing this opt-in into sellers, hopefully, keep costs minimized. Ultimately, though, you have to make the right decision for you and your business and your brand. Like, does this make sense to expand? And do I have the resources, time, and attention to devote to watching this? And does it align with my overall goals for my business?